Reach for the stars. Rhode Island's 2022 Statewide Self-Advocacy Conference. Share your ideas about services and supports. Facilitated by Denise Flynn and LeClaire and Delmarie Rivera.
Do want to just to have a visual, have a whiteboard up and jot down our ideas. Can everyone see the whiteboard?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. And like I said, it's pretty much just an open discussion, sharing ideas of services, supports, direct support staff, and just having that conversation of what we would like to see in a direct support staff. So this is a completely open dialogue for anyone that would like to begin.
I will.
Is that you, Zach?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
So I'm so if you can help me out, and if you have any answer, I'm looking to move out. I'm looking to move out of Boston group home into an SLA and get support about an SLA, and I have a lot of questions on my mind about an SLA. The first, and I will go through the first question on my mind is, what is an SLA, and what are some of the things that I have to do to get me ready for an SLA soon?
So I will repeat Zach's question. What is an SLA, and what are some things that I have to do to get me ready? Is that correct, Zach?
Correct.
Anyone have any ideas? Denise, do you have any experience around that? I'll put you on the spot. I think we lost Denise. Yeah, and in the meantime, do you have any supports for Zach on SLA?
An SLA, you'd ask, what is an SLA? An SLA is when someone who owns a home agrees to have someone with a disability move in with them, and they provide supports within the home. So they share the home.
And some of my other questions to you is, I'm looking for an SLA because my sister and I, my brother, who used to live at 21 Cosmos Street, that moved to 21 Pond House Group Home in North Smithfield. She was trying to look for an SLA, but she couldn't find one because I know there is a lot of things per se to get. There is a lot into an there is a lot that goes into an SLA. Like, what are some of the things that I might have to do about in an SLA, and what are some of the things that that other people like to do in these out of in the community outside of an SLA, because I like looking at girls. I'm a ladies man. I like going swimming. I like to go fishing. I like to go for a walk in Belcock Park. I like to go. I like to do my puzzle book at the library. I like to go for a ride to Miss Comic-Con. I like to go to Dunkin' Donuts to get decaf coffee, mocha bananas, and a and a donor, and those are some of what I like to do. But can you tell me like what other people like to do in SLA?
Well, just like you, everyone has the things they like to do. So a good SLA match would find someone for you who has similar interests and wants to do the same things you do. And is willing to do stuff with you if they haven't done it before, if they want to try it. And also help you, if they don't do something that you like to do, help you find someone that you can do it with.
Okay, I have to interrupt you right there, and then you can keep going. Well, I need help with an SOA because I remember going out and kept asking my mom's house, and they came down from Never in the Basin to my mom's house, and they met with me and my mom and my stepdad boss, and they spoke to me, and they asked me what are some of the cousins, what are some of the things that I need help with, and I'm not gonna lie, I need help with like getting on and off of the toilet. I need help with like getting in and out of the bathtub, and I need help in like getting in and out of bed. I need help with like getting gas. I need help with like getting behind my head shampoo. I need help when I know how to eat, so I don't need help with that. But I need help with putting on my socks, my shoes, and my bases. So those are the things that I really need help with doing. Like, but what are like, do other people that I might be going to be living with, do they need, what are some of the things that they need help with, and I might be helping them with?
Some things the SLA person, the homeowner might need help with.
Yes, correct.
Well, I think that's gonna vary with whoever is a good match for you. So that's a question you would have to ask them of what do they need help with, just like they'd have to understand what you need help with versus someone else who might be looking for an SLA.
And
Everybody's different. So what they're gonna want out of a roommate who's sharing their house with them is gonna vary.
And the other cousin that I have is, and I am so frustrated and teary-eyed, and I'm stuck in a what the heck, why is SLA taking forever, and why is it taking a lot of time for me to move out of Western group home to an SLA? Like, why is it taking forever?
Are you working with just one provider, or are you talking to a few different ones to see who can have an SLA match?
I'm working with my few different SLA provider who could see to find a SLA match for me. Like, I'm working with a couple of SLA providers.
Okay. It just, sometimes it can take a while to find a good match between two people who want to live together and do an SLA. The more agencies you're working with to have them looking for an SLA provider, maybe that would go faster. So if it's not moving fast enough, you can talk to your caseworker to see if there are other agencies you can talk to about finding an SLA match?
I mean, this is June 17th, so how is it gonna be like at the end of Christmas that I might be moving into an SLA? Is it gonna mean that I might be moving into SLA like in of May 2023 of not the end? Like, how long do you think that it's gonna take and I might be moving into SLA? Like, because see, I am very eager. I am very eager to move. Like, I've been thinking of moving out of the group home to enter an SLA. Like, I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it for like a long time.
Denise has raised her hand. So Denise, do you have?
Well, before I was having trouble communicating, I wanted to tell Zachary that I'm actually in SLA, so I know how the process works and everything.
Okay, Denise, can you speak up, because I really can't hear you because you are mumbling. Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I was just trying to tell you that I'm in SLA and I'm familiar with the process of it.
Okay.
It does take a while. It's a process to get in SLA, because like Ann said, you have to find the person that's right for you, and they don't just want to put you with anyone.
And Denise, some question is, like, I'm gonna be polite. Why does it take forever for me to move into an SLA? Like, I've been dying to move out of Boston into an SLA, and
Well, then,
I know some of the things that I can that I might tell you is, I love to go to walk at Belka Park. I love to go to Dunkin' Donuts, get decaf coffee and donut. I love to go for a ride down to Miss Comica Beach. I love to go for hike, even though I'm in a wheelchair and I don't go for hike. I love to eat. I love to go to the summer baths. I love to go to summer concerts. I have a bike which I ride every day. I love to take out the garbage. But some of the questions that I have to you per se is, how long does it take you, Denise, for you to move out of your house and into SLA?
well, honestly, it didn't take me that long because I was like in an emergency situation. But everyone is different, and all the things that you love to do, you'll still be able to do them, because actually I do a lot of the things that you do. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. It's just getting the placement that takes a while.
And some other question I have is, and I won't get too carried away, is why who might be some of the new home providers and
Well,
people
that
that I might be living with in SOA if an SOA do ever open up.
well, that I'm not too familiar with, because I believe that the providers they come from the state. If correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not particularly sure.
The agencies recruit providers, SLA providers.
Yes. Yes.
So some of them have more, they're better recruiters than others. It could be depending on the part of the state. I know some of them have more SLA providers looking for a match, and some struggle to find new providers. So it depends on what agency you're working with. That's why I said, Zachary, if you talk with your caseworker and say, it's not really moving as fast as I'd like, should we talk to some other agencies? They can help you figure that out. And Del Marie had something to add.
Yeah, I think that it's
Okay, go ahead.
I'm hearing all great things. A lot of things have brought ideas to my mind, which, you know, is the discussion of Zachary has mentioned all the things he likes to do. And I'm wondering, you know, if those are things that have been mentioned in Zachary's plan. So this can, you know, lead our discussion to how to advocate for ourselves so that our service plans have what we want and need in them, and also learning how to advocate and speaking to your caseworker, because a lot of the questions that Zachary has are questions for his individual caseworker. So I think that brings that open discussion of are we comfortable with speaking to our caseworker, and do we have that access whenever we need it?
And some of the other thing, yes, I am comfortable speaking to my case worker, and I have a case worker, Savan McAfee, and I'm talking to her, but I feel like when I'm talking to her politely, I feel like the SLA conversation is not going the way that I want it to go, because it is taking like forever. Me moving out into SLA and where I might be happy with, it taking like, it seems like it's taking forever.
Yeah, I'm sorry it's taking so long, Zach, but I think one issue might also be sometimes SLA providers don't have accessible homes. So they need to do some work on their homes if they want someone who uses a wheelchair to move in, and that can delay. And sometimes if they're renting or something else, they don't have that option. So it can take much longer for someone who uses a wheelchair to find a good match.
Could you please tell me like fear of those reasons, because I'm trying to picturize what an SLA home would might look like, but I cannot think of what a good SLA home would look like. So can you tell me about a little more about SLA and how does a good home will work? Because I'm disabled and I'm in a wheelchair.
A good SLA will, you know, that varies for each person, because what might be a good SLA for one person might not be such a good SLA for the next person. So you need to find what is a good SLA for you. And you need a home that's accessible. So unfortunately, a lot of homes in Rhode Island aren't. So if they need to do construction or something else, that might take more time. So it is a little harder for the agencies to recruit SLA providers who have accessible homes, because they're, most of the homes in Rhode Island aren't already accessible. They have to add that in.
Because I know, because some of the things that I am going to add, and before we move on, is I know that they need to make a home, make a ramp. They need to make it like they need to make it with a ramp. They need to make the home like handicap accessible, so I can go in and out of the house. And they need to make the home like a combination like with like a van, so I can get in and out of the van and take me places where I want to go, like the mall, the arcade, nice stuff like that.
Denise put in the chat that she had to have a ramp added to her SLA's house, and it took a while. And she said, I also had to have accommodations to my room as well. So they are willing to do that. It's just finding the right match.
I agree, definitely.
Answered your question on 6 times. You have this woman? You want to go yes or no?
Am I gonna have time for the dance tonight?
Yeah, we're gonna serve like an hour.
It's not till 7 to
Okay, so
8.
wait, you have time?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So could I stop and go to the? Could I please go to the right, and then I will come back tonight and going to Halloween dance at 7 to 8:40.
Yes, I believe so, Zach.
Okay, so what time is the Halloween dance tonight?
7 p.m.
Okay, so I will go to the YMCA now with my dad to go to me, and then I will come back, have lunch, and then put on my Halloween costume now that I have on, and then I will save the Zoom invite, don't delete it, and then I will be back for the Halloween dance tonight.
Okay, Zach. We'll see
Okay.
you later.
So thanks for talking to me about SOA and how it works. And I will be patient, and hopefully they will make it go much faster, and then I will get into and home that actually will have a map.
Okay, you
Okay.
take care.
Good
I
luck.
go
Zach.
bye.
Bye.
Good luck. So, and not to put you on the spot, but I did have some notes back from a couple people that couldn't make it, but had questions about direct support staff. And just to keep the conversation open, I've just had some parents and family just ask simple questions as what is the change that the state may be planning to have with turnover on staff? That's one of the questions.
How to help reduce turnover?
Yes,
That's a great question. If we had the answer to that.
it would stop, right?
The staff work for agencies, not for the state. So we are trying to work with the agencies on how to recruit people, how to train them, what kind of ongoing training people need, and how we can better support the agencies to support their staff. Unfortunately, I don't have a good answer or a specific answer to what we're going to do. We have an RFP out, a request for proposals, to bring in a group or maybe more than one group to help agencies with the staffing issues. And that should be awarded soon. So hopefully we can get some support and some national experts to help figure out what to do. We have another rate increase that will happen for the DSP wages as of July 1st. So maybe that will help as well. So it depends. People who self-direct are harder. We're looking at different ways to support the staff for people who self-direct. Maybe have some agency, I don't know if it would be one of our current agencies or not, who can help support things like recruiting, so, or backfill to help people who self-direct find staff. But it's not an easy answer, and we're not the only area that's having a hard time keeping staff. A lot of businesses are, so it's just a tough time, and we have to work together to try to figure out what will work. If anyone has any ideas, Denise has her hand raised.
I actually have two separate questions. One is about direct support, because I used to go through direct support staff, and it was hard for me to keep staff as well. And I was noticing a lot of it too. Well, a lot of the staff that I work with, I don't know if I can speak on everyone for this, left because not only because of like the rate, but because there was like no benefits. And I was wondering if eventually way down the line they would possibly find a way for like not like part-time benefits, just so it would be easier to keep staff for direct supports, because that is one of the reasons why I left direct supports, was because I wanted to go to school, and I didn't have staff to help me go to school during the appropriate hours because of that.
I know some people who self-direct try to pay for some benefits, but it is difficult within the packages.
Yes.
That could be something we look at if there's an agency who's helping employ the staff people, on whether there can be group
Maybe
insurance or something, but that is it is a problem.
I was wondering, maybe like, you know how we have extra money left over if we don't use it? Could it be possible to use that or no?
There are ways to build in benefits to help people buy health insurance or to pay for vacations. We've walked some people through how to increase the hourly rate to account for vacations. So instead of paying someone, if you were going to give them 2 weeks, you figure out what you want to pay them for the full year. And then if they're only working 50 weeks, you divide it by the 50 weeks. So you increase the hourly rate so that they're getting it, but they don't get a paycheck during those 2 weeks because Medicaid doesn't allow people to be paid for time they're not working. So you build it in to the hourly rate for the hours they do work.
That makes sense.
But it gets complicated when you're doing it for all the benefits and everything else.
Yes.
So we need to provide more help to people to figure out how to handle that budget and how to offer what they want to offer to staff.
All right.
But it does come out of the overall package. So the more benefits you pay for, the less service you get. And you know, people have to weigh that because it is difficult.
Yeah.
Hopefully with the rate review, we can account for some of that. And that's something we're going to be talking about. There's going to be something coming out at the end of the month, something in writing, and we're going to do a video presentation around service definitions, because we can't figure out new rates if we don't have good definitions of what we're paying for. So the first step is to talk about what do we want to see? And we're looking at changing or even adding service definitions.
Yes.
But we're going to be asking for public comment. So if people want to comment about what they would like to pay for, if we have self-directed staff and we're paying for them to help us with these things, we want to make sure we can cover their time for, if you want your staff to get training or you want to provide benefits for your staff.
Yes.
We want to bring those kind of issues to the group looking at our rates so that they take that into account when they're developing rates. They do for agencies because agencies pay it, but we want to make sure they also do that for self-directed people.
Yes.
That's a really good point. So I guess I should ask this one because it kind of goes with what you're already speaking with, Anne. I had an individual ask about vacation. For example, the individual going on vacation and needing staff to go with them. And this may be an agency question more so, but do you have any background on whether or not these staff will or can be accommodated or paid for going on the vacation with the family and assisting the individual?
They can, but they can't be paid for 24/7.
Okay.
So they've got to, how much time would they actually be spending on certain tasks, and what would be paid for. Usually the people pay for all the travel and meals, or some of the meals at least, and pay the straight shift time. And then the staff doesn't ask for anything more. So the ones I know of, they're just paid for their regular time.
Okay.
And the travel is paid for. And the rest of it, they kind of accept that they're on the vacation too. And so the rest of the 24 hours is not paid for.
Okay.
So, but I think that would be something everyone would need to work out with the staff. But it is possible for staff to go with someone on vacation.
Okay.
There's nothing that says they have to only be in Rhode Island. I think Jessica had a question or comment.
I did. So I work with a lot of direct support staff, and something that I'm trying to help change in our agency is making sure that the support staff is able to be communicated with. I want to know how we can make ourselves more open to a conversation with people, how ways that people feel more comfortable with support staff, and what is it we can do to be more open to what individuals need and want. And yeah. So I'd love to hear what people have to say on that. What can we do better to make ourselves more approachable and better accommodate what you guys need and want?
Are you talking specifically about working with an individual?
Not a specific individual, but just overall, are there things that you find make somebody more approachable or make you more comfortable with to share the things that you want? Because sometimes I find some of our individuals don't tell us always, and I don't know what we can be doing better to make them feel like they can come to us.
Experiences that I've heard from, families, clients in the past. And just, I think sometimes it's not even the direct staff per se. I think it's the generalization of this being a staff, right? I've heard a lot of individuals, they kind of see the staff member as someone that's making the decisions for them, rather than with them. And I don't want to use the word intimidated, but some people just, they kind of lean onto that and tend to forget that it's okay to communicate with their staff because you guys are working with them. You know what I mean?
Right. We're working to make sure that you are getting what you need. It's not about what we want. And that's something I want to help change the mindset of for our staff. Because I think sometimes we worry more about intervention instead of like teaching
Right.
and allowing voices to be heard. And I think that's really important.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of the, the stories that I've heard is more so just individuals just forget that it's okay and that they can talk to staff because they're kind of hand in hand. And they're working together to better assist them. So I think it's just a generalized thing that I don't know. I've even heard people state that the word staff could be kind of like an obstacle, because some people see the word staff as more of a I would say someone that's above them rather than equal to them and working with them.
Oh, absolutely. That's actually a really great insight. The thought of it, we're working with you. We're like partners in this. It's not a matter of we're in charge of your life.
Right. So I
Okay.
from my perspective, from what I've heard from, families and individuals that are receiving services or have staff throughout the day, that's what I've taken out of it. But anyone else can chime in.
I think all of that is a good focus, and just trying to get both parties to understand that it is a partnership and that staff is there for support and coaching, not telling. And sometimes there's a fear that someone might do something that they might get hurt, or they might not have a good outcome. And it can be hard for staff to know that it's okay to step back and let people try things, and even if it doesn't go well.
Right. The dignity of risk and all of that, allowing people, I mean, we all make choices all the time that sometimes will fail. It's important to fail sometimes. Yeah. Is there a way to empower staff to allow those risks to be taken more? Is there something like, has anybody ever had an experience where they've done something that staff at first was a little scared to let them try, and then they did it? And what was that experience like? How did they communicate and get that to happen?
I think one thing is just the language we use.
Okay.
And recognizing that staff aren't allowing people to do anything because it's not their role to allow, it's their role to support. And when we use language like that, we're kind of reinforcing that they do have more of a say in the matter than they actually should. So it's more staff remembering to step back. And as Amanda put in the chat, she said, I think a lot of staff, at least in my experiences, tend to forget to practice person-centered care and try to control everything instead of letting I don't know what PWS stands for, make their own decisions. People we support make their own decisions and make their own mistakes. So I think remembering that it starts with the person being supported. So if they make a decision to do something, it's not the staff person who allows it or accepts it. The question is then, how do I as a staff person support them to do that?
How do we facilitate it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Denise, you had your hand up.
Yes, from my own personal experience, I had trouble communicating with my staff or my SLA because I always get concerned that I don't want to put too much on them and I don't want to burn them out, so that kind of shies me away from asking the question unless I believe that I have everything figured out first.
Interesting. Okay. So is there something that we as staff can do to help alleviate that anxiety for people, do you think?
It's difficult because me, I have cerebral palsy, and my condition kind of got worse throughout my years, and I have to get full assistance with like lifting and everything like that, and I'm always concerned about the well-being of my or my staff.
That's so sweet that you're worried about them, but I'm sure they're just as worried about you too. But I can appreciate being anxious and wanting to burden someone. Is there ways that people can make you feel more comfortable so you don't feel that way? Are there things that people have done that make you feel like you can ask more?
One thing that I've learned how to do is like let go of my own anxiety, because I know it's probably more in my head than my staff head. So that probably more people probably think like that, because they're like, oh, I need a lot of help, and I don't want to ask for it because I don't want to bother anybody. That was my mindset for a long time until I ended up in the situation I am now.
I think that's something those of us who are supporting people can try to alleviate, but it's not a bother. It's what I'm there for.
Right.
Thing.
So maybe staff need to communicate that better when they're supporting people, is you're not a burden. Like, we want to be here. We want to do what's best for you and what you need.
A lot of the time I read, like, I can read a person's body language, and you can tell whether, like, especially if they're having an off day, it makes them more like to shy away. And you just be like, oh, I'll wait.
Jessica, I think I have a question for you. It's Jessica, right? I'm sorry. You left my screen for a second. Yes. Okay. I did get your name correct. So you work very closely with direct support staff. I guess one of my questions is, have most of the staff that you work with or are working with, have they experienced the person-centered thinking training?
Yeah, so our agency offers a person-centered training that we take every year. We redo it, and it's helpful. But I think as great of a class as it is, I think that we need to put it in practice more. And I think sometimes it gets forgotten. Just getting caught up in the day-to-day of like things that have to get done. And it's something we're working to change, and that's something that I'm trying to help push and reevaluate how we can support staff to do that so that we can better support the people in our agency.
Okay. Yeah, I think the training is really important, and definitely enforcing it is even more. And just, you know, I think that could be one of our issues as humans, right? We day-to-day things happen so many times that we tend to forget. But all in all, it should already be part of the day-to-day. So
right.
It's more like putting it into that day-to-day, so it doesn't feel like it's just something extra that's coming in.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah, it's just how we do things, not something extra. But I want to bring up something that was said to me once about person-centeredness. I like the person-centered training, but someone made the comment of, well, sometimes person-centeredness feels like I'm in the center of the firing squad. I am in the center, but that means things are being done to me, not necessarily with me or because I'm driving them. which hit home. So I think I started thinking I need to think about person-centeredness, but also self-determination, that the two need to go hand in hand. So it's not just all about the person in abstract, but it's about making sure that the person and their decisions and how they're working is front and center. So it was, yeah, it was kind of a powerful thing to hear someone saying that, well, everyone's around me and pointing at me.
That's a really good point. That is because self-determination can really create that confidence in the individual that is being supported, to have that voice or feel like they have that voice. So definitely. So we only have 5 minutes left. Any last thoughts, ideas, questions that anyone may have?
In terms of the person-centered care, I know that typically like we make like those community maps and stuff to help make sure we're focusing on things for each individual that they really care about. Do you find that you are involved enough in that process of making those community maps with staff and determining like what it is exactly your goals are, or do you feel that the staff make that decision more often than not? Just out of curiosity. I'm very new to the agency, so I'm trying to figure out what people's experiences have been in the past.
Denise, would you like to answer that? I know you've had experience on that.
I have, but my mic, it broke out a little bit. So could you repeat that?
Yeah, so when thinking about person-centered planning and creating community maps and goals that individuals want to reach, have you found personally that you get to be a big part of making those? Or do you think staff do more of it for like and determining those goals?
When I was able to do my person-centered plan for the first time, I was very much involved in what I wanted to be done and what goals I wanted to reach. And I believe it was more important that I got to decide who was there, because I felt like that made a major difference on who was actually listening to me versus who was telling me what to do. And a lot of it was up to me, but I had support to make sure like I stayed on the right track, because I have a habit of going off track.
That's actually a great insight, deciding who's in the room to make those decisions. That's really awesome.
Yes. And it makes it much more comfortable.
Yeah, and if you're more comfortable, you're able to express yourself better, I think. So that's a really good insight for me moving forward on things. I appreciate that.
Amanda put a comment. At the agency where I work, the staff and individuals are involved in making the goals, but I find that some staff don't follow those goals. So an ongoing checking in with the person to make sure they're getting the services and supports that they want and need is important.
Amanda, have you found, have you mentioned or brought up concerns that your goals aren't being fulfilled as much? Or is this something that, you noticed that staff isn't following through on and it's made you like uncomfortable, or something you didn't want to bring up with them? Is there a way for us as supportive staff to do better?
Well, I brought it up. Center. I work at a community-based center. And it's something that I brought up with some of the higher staff here, and they see what I'm seeing, but Sometimes they see what I'm seeing but do, or sometimes they can push without fear of that. Do, or so much they can push without fear of that.
Okay, so finding a way to make accountability, I think, is important.
Yeah, I think I'm doing some weird.
I think also a good way to bring the issue is having a goal review with the actual client and seeing how they feel and seeing how on their day-to-day they're actually working on that goal. And if it's not happening, then the client has every right to say, I reviewed my goal and it's not happening, and goals can be modified. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much for joining and all of the information.
Thanks for watching. Visit our website at the following link to watch this recording again. While you're there, you'll also find links to the information the presenters mentioned in their session, other resources about Rhode Island DD Services, and how to share your input and ideas with the Division of Developmental Disabilities. Share your ideas about services and supports, likes, dislikes, and suggestions. www.advocatesinaction.org/2022 Breakout 3-1. Produced by Advocates in Action Rhode Island. Copyright 2022.